So, ladies and gentlemen, in recent days in Major League Baseball, we're seeing a whole bunch of expulsions of players and managers for what seems to be one of the most inconsistent years in Major League Baseball history for umpiring. Now, we had an incident with Baumgartner just recently, Vladimir Guerrero as well, Aaron Judge, where Aaron Boone took a complete freak at the Sky Dome, and I think especially the Baumgartner incident where the umpire was basically looking for a fight. But you don't want to take on Baumgartner. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have to look at a little bit of history. It could have been worse. See, with B.J. Birdie was not thrown out of the game because of bad umpiring in Skydome. But with the terrible umpiring, that's what happened with Youppi. And we're almost hitting the 33rd anniversary where the egotistical and I think overrated Tom Lasorda got Youppi kicked out for, of all things, dressing up to go to sleep. Now, Claude Youppi was interviewed by MajorLeagueBaseball.com for this article. We're going to be doing it. He talks about his time being the Youppi character. Now, what is the Expos' existence, spanning years from 79 to 2004. Now, Youppi was inside the suit for the first 7 years from 84 to 91. Now, one night in 1989, during a game against the Dodgers, Youppi and Claude cemented their place in baseball's history books. The furry, big-nosed orange creature became the first and only mascot, according to statistics, ever to be thrown out of a Major League Baseball game. Yeah, he said, I was making maybe a little more noise than usual. Youppi remembered laughing. Now, you see the photos that we're presenting here. Lasorda was really pissed off at Youppi that night. First, the game was incredibly close and intense. It eventually became a 1-0 22-inning affair. A pitcher's duel originally started by Pascual Perez and Oral Hershiser and kept intact by a parade of 9 other relievers. Now, that's more than 2 games. That's 3 7-inning stretches. To have a nail-gnawing, stressful game like that going on, any team or manager might take offense to some giant monster pounding on the top of the dugout. Secondly, the Dodgers manager was, of course, the self-centered, egotistical Tommy Lasorda. Now, Lasorda was known to have kind of a short temper, just like Earl Weaver, during his long and successful managerial career. I'm not doubting his as a manager, but like my old RIBL manager years ago, sometimes the ego couldn't cash the checks. Now, in fact, one of his most famous moments when he full out attacked the Philly Fanatic. The Philly mascot made a dummy and Lasorda did not think it was funny and reacted accordingly. Now, Youppi said, well, I knew he didn't like mascots because he did something with the Philly Fanatic. So poking the bear didn't really help, did it? Now, the Expos mascot was known for his stuff. He messed with players. They had one night where he stood still as a Statue of Liberty for 20 minutes on Montreal's New York night. Has to be seen to be believed. Now, so in the 11th inning of that game, Youppi set his sights at the top of the Dodgers dugout to get in the away team's heads. It was the perfect place for him to get maximum attention, spotted by the crowd and TV cameras. And then he started making problems. I made myself fall down wearing the pajamas, so maybe I was a little bit heavier than usual, Youppi said. It made a lot of noise, but that was my job. I was cheering for the Expos, you know. Yes, pajamas. Whenever an Expo game went to extra innings, Youppi would have a change of wardrobe into some custom-made PJs. Now, this skit is copied by numerous mascots in 2022. Now, to tell people, okay, Youppi is tired, he wants to go to bed, Youppi explained. Now, although Youppi definitely told MLB was making loud sounds, he also said there was a group of Expos fans by him yelling at Lasorda and the players. And that's who LA's manager was more angry at. But if you check the videotape of the incident, it seems that much of Lasorda's ire was directed at the Expos mascot, and he was losing his friggin' mind, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it was the length and closeness of the game or the rage of Lasorda or both, but umpire Bob Davidson felt he needed to do something ridiculous, something never done before. Umpire Bob Davidson saw Lasorda argue with me and took the decision to say, okay, Youppi, you're out of the game. And the tape shows it. Youppi took a long, ceremonial slow walk off the dugout into the concourse. Still, he wasn't totally sure if this was real. He was actually ejected from the game, or just not allowed back up on the dugout. His colleague asked the umps and found out he was indeed gone for the game. Yeah, I took off my pajamas and threw them through my pillow. I got booed everywhere, Davidson said later. They booed me pretty good. Now, as it stands out, after an inning straight of Youppi chants for the Olympic Stadium crowd, Davidson, perhaps realizing how absurd the move had been, reversed the decision and allowed the Montreal mascot back into the stadium. He just had to promise to stay on the home team side of the field, and Youppi obeyed the new restriction and watched the team eventually fail 1-0 in a marathon contest. Backup catcher Rick Dempsey, former Oriole, ended up getting 5 at-bats, hit a game-winning homer off Expos pitcher Denny Martinez in the top of the 22nd. Now, there was talk about the length of the game afterwards. There was also lots of talk about the Youppi fiasco. Yeah, there was talk in the press that every year since then some radio station calls me or TV station, Youppi said. People are always talking about this event. Now, one Montreal Gazette columnist even decided to bash Youppi after the game in question. And ironically, Lasorda had great connection with Montreal because he played in the minor leagues in the Dodgers system for a number of years. And also, the Dodgers, of course, knocked out Montreal in the 81 playoffs on that Monday homer. Now, Youppi's performance that night did solidify his spot in mascot lore. The Expos mascot was inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame, Indiana, in 2019, and along with the Fanatic and San Diego Chicken, he's one of 3 mascots with a display in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's really fun, Youppi told me. It was the third Youppi, but people were talking the most about my seasons. I did a lot of sketch items, made a lot of costumes, so yeah, I'm very proud. Youppi in Montreal and Quebec is the mascot. Now, of course, Youppi can be seen during the hockey season as he currently serves as the Stanley Cup finalist mascot for the Habs, but like many mascots these days, there's not a lot of creativity or sketch comedy or effort that goes into nightly performances. As Youppi notes, maybe it's because the team disallows it, rather having the attention on its players, or maybe it's because the performers inside the suit are just fine with the status quo. Now, Youppi says the Philly Fanatic, of course, for a lot of people. Now, one other amazing tidbit from Youppi's groundbreaking night is Youppi. He ended up meeting his future wife. Youppi told me it wasn't because of his injection. It was more of a coincidence that it happened the same day. She was a friend of a friend who thought the two, probably Youppi and a human being and not the orange monster Youppi, would be a good fit. During the game, a friend of mine brought me to see her. Youppi recalled. He said, Youppi, I present you with Sylvia. Sylvia, I present you with Youppi. And he got me her phone number, and after that, I saw her the next day, and we were 32 years together after that. That doesn't mean she wasn't impressed by her future husband's legendary moment. She really liked the way I reacted to getting ejected, and she couldn't believe the spectators shouting, Youppi, Youppi. Now, Tommy Lasorda, to all the Dodger fans listening to this, I'm not criticizing your style, but when you're basically full of bullshit against a team that the city that made you, really, who's the problem? You should have been ejected. Ejected for being a moron, picking on a mascot. What do you think? Going to a game, there's not going to be people rooting against you? I mean, you should know, if you didn't like what Youppi was saying, you could have went to an area where he wasn't there. That's what mascots do. But to convince the umpire to throw him out, there's no rules about throwing out a mascot. People, yes, people can be thrown out for whole different regions. So I do forgive Tommy Lasorda because, maybe losing to the Yankees all those years addled his brain a little bit. But, it all depends. Like, half the world loves him and has like Earl Weaver. Half the world likes Earl Weaver. Toronto Blue Jay fans don't like Earl Weaver. And I'm happy to state that in 2022, Earl Weaver is still dead. Coincidence, I wonder. If he ever comes back to life, let me know. I think I'll have to do a story saying where do the Blue Jay fans go now if Earl Weaver has risen from the grave. Thanks for listening. Bye.